What's up, people? Welcome to week. I don't even know now. I think it's 5. I think it's 5. Welcome to week 5 of 1102. I hope that you had a great week working on your rough draft and getting all that good stuff together. Yeah, week 5. I'm not going to. Let's see here. What time is it right now? 8:30. Okay, so I think we can get this done in 30 minutes. I'm recording this post Labor Day, but you're catching this after Labor Day, so I'm not even gonna say I hope you had a nice Labor Day, even though that's all I'm really thinking about. Okay. All right. So let's get straight to it. Let me share my screen here. Okay. I got 2 screens going on. I have one computer up there and one computer right here. I'm recording on this computer, and then I'm looking up here at this computer right here. This computer has a bigger screen, so I like it. All right. Okay. So this is this week, and we are doing. So this week I'm doing a live edit of a paper and things to improve on. Talking about parenthetical citations and going over works cited page. Okay. The goal is that hopefully you have your rough draft for the most part finished, and then I'm gonna go over these things that you can then learn from and fix on your own. I've not really gone over works cited page. Kind of did during week 1 when we were doing that library research assignment, and you did annotated bibliography, which the annotated bibliography is essentially a works cited page just without the paragraphs in it. Okay, but I will talk about that today as well while we are in the process of looking at our papers. Okay, so I had a student. I asked for students to send me a copy of their paper, and I got one. Okay, and so I'm doing the first one that sent to me. Okay, I changed this person's name to Sydney Prescott. That's not the real person's name. Okay, but I will give you 5 imaginary, not real extra credit points that actually not actually extra credit. If you email me where that name comes from, it should be pretty easy. Okay. All right. So looking at this rough draft, there's some things that I see that are good, and there's some things that I see that immediately need to be fixed. Okay. Good. Let's go with the good. Last name is in the top corner, and it's inserted correctly. Because look, if I click here, my cursor shows up. See that? If I try to click here, my cursor does not go up there because it's been inserted into the header position, which is correct. I have to double click to get there. And then this whole thing opens to the header. This is a completely different section. Now I have access to it. And so, and now this is, I don't have access to this until I click out of this. So this has been inserted correctly. That's great. And another way I know it's been inserted correctly, because when I scroll down to the second page, it automatically, wait a minute. Okay. So it did find a little error. Double click. The page number was not actually inserted. It was typed. Delete. Which means now, when you go to up here, page number. Look, page number. Top of page. Click here. When we click that, let's put the last name back in. Now, when we go to page 2, it should say Prescott 2. Let's go down and look. Ooh, it says Prescott 2 now. Go down to, ooh, it says Prescott 3 now. Ooh, Prescott 4. Okay. If you see, listen. If you type a number up here, whatever you type up here is going to be on every page. Which is why you have to go to the page numbers to change. You have to go and insert those page numbers, because if you insert them, then they've been programmed to change with each page. But if you type that one, then you're going to have to go down here and type 2 and go down to type 3, and this is all a waste of time, okay? So you need to actually insert the page numbers. Let's look at this. I'm going to highlight some of these. I'm going to check the spacing. I'm going to go to home. I'm going to go to paragraph. Okay, 000. Good. That's the way it should look. Some of you are turning in work, and it's hard to explain this when I'm grading your paper, when I'm grading your classwork. Some of you are turning in work that has an 8 here. In the after box, you have 8. And do you see how it just widened? Okay, that puts, every time you hit enter, that puts an additional space between the lines. That's incorrect. Highlight, go to paragraph. In the after and the before boxes, they both should be at 0. Okay, I'm gonna hit enter. Watch this. Watch right here. They go down. Ooh, so nice, so nice. So make sure you don't have 8 there, because I can tell when it's 8. This is really good. This is clearly, see, when I click on the line, it goes to the justify box. I know for a fact there's some people who have not watched the lectures, and they're turning in work that's like all messed up, and then I'm writing in my comments when I'm grading their work, the things that you need to do, and people are being like, I don't understand, and then I'm like, watch the lectures where I go over it. Okay, so that's justified. Good. This is all correct. Good. Due date. Good. The due date is 11th or 12th. Yep. Okay. All right. Essay 1, the curve of an hour. Here we go. Just looking at this, I can tell already this is a very long paragraph. And that's a very long. This is a super long paragraph. That is only one paragraph. That's 2 pages. That's real long. Okay. We gotta begin with. Let's tab. Okay. Let's see how she begins this paragraph. In the story, The Curve of an Hour by Kate Chopin. Okay. Remember, for my lecture, punctuation goes inside of the quotation marks. It goes inside. Okay. In the story, and then when you begin, when you introduce the title, put a comma also. In the story, The Story of an Hour. That's because, the title is not necessary. You could have write in the story Miss Mallard, after being told her husband died, is standing in her room by her window, blah blah blah. The Story of an Hour is actually extra. That title is extra, so we offset it with commas. Also, the story in the title needs to be capitalized. In the story of an hour. If you notice, the story and the story is repeated twice. After being told, in the story, The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. Oops. Miss Mallard, after being told her husband died. Okay, Miss Mallard, comma, after being told she has died, is standing in her room by the window as the grief of the loss of her husband tries. Remember, last week we got right in present tense. Tries to possess her and has for questioning her life by herself and what she will become without him. There she is, feeling a sense of freedom and confinement at the same time as it is in one of. Okay, so we don't have a period until here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. Okay, we gotta take a breath. Okay, which I know. Listen. Sydney This is her rough draft. Okay, so I'm not saying this is anywhere near what she will actually turn in. Okay, so I'm not criticizing Sydney at all when we're editing this. Okay, I would write something very similar. Okay, this is about getting it all. The rough draft. The first draft is like going from the brain to the paper, just getting it all out. Okay, and then the editing is getting the communication clear. Okay. All right. Okay. So I think that first we should begin with statement rather than summary. Okay. And the statement of all this. Freedom and confinement at the same time. One of in this. All right. I think just get rid of this. In The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. All right. Miss Mallard is confronted with, here we have just her, without him there's this feeling of sense of freedom and confinement at the same time. All right, Miss Mallard is confronted with the question of how she will live her life now that her husband has died. Okay. All right. She is all right. Ooh, okay. Let's do this. In her questioning of her life by herself and what she'll become without him, she is feeling a sense of freedom and confinement at the same time. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to say this. Okay. I believe this is a body paragraph. This is not an introduction. So, like, we need an introduction. Which is a gradual walk into the conversation the writer will be having in the paper. Okay. So, first sentence is something like a generalized. So the way you have to think of it is a introduction begins very broad, very wide, and because you don't want to be overpowering, and then you want to narrow the scope of what you're talking about to your thesis. Okay, and so it's very broad. I like to think of introductions as a hug. You start out wide, spread your arms, and then you bring that person in and close to you so that they can feel your heart. And that's what a good introduction does. It brings in the reader in, okay? And the heartbeat is the thesis statement. Like this body paragraph is about Story of an Hour. Story of an Hour. All right, so the whole paper is about Story of an Hour. All right, great. So this person, Sydney, needs to write an introduction begin with something general, and a general, very relatable thing is death. Okay. All right. So, when something like when death occurs in a long-term relationship, the act of moving on for the surviving partner can be very daunting. All right, so we begin with a general opening. General, non-story specific opening. Okay, then we move it into whatever we're talking about. Okay, in story of an hour by Kate Chopin. Miss Mallard. So actually, I think this right here should be in the introduction. This shouldn't be our claim. We're gonna move that. Put it right here. Or maybe this is. No, I don't know. It's not introduction. Some of it is though. Okay. So I confront with the question of how she will live her life now that her husband has died. Okay. You know, like through her what's that word used for when you are have to like go through her processing. Through her processing and analysis of her life, she realizes that she has a unique opportunity to live a life with more freedom than her than when her husband was alive. Okay. All right, let's see. What else is what's the second paragraph about? Because we gotta include some of this stuff in it. All right, since this paper will include some Simone de Beauvoir, we're going to add her to the introduction, okay? Through the analysis of the French philosopher Simone de Beauvoir, okay? Wait, oh, there we go. Okay. Readers see the conflict and struggle, real and struggle women like Miss Mallard faced in a time that only valued them through the eyes of their husbands. Okay, so we have a little bit of generalization, a general non-story specific opening. Okay. And then we have a summary. Okay. Concise summary of the specific thing from the story that you will be discussing. You don't need to talk about the whole story. You only need to, I've read the story, so we don't have to give this a whole big summary background. Just focus on the specific aspect of the story that you're going to be discussing. Okay. And then essentially a thesis where this paper is going to be discussing the conflict and struggle that Miss Mallard goes through with the realization of her husband's death. Okay, at this time when women were not seen as equals. Now we have body paragraph. Okay, and which we need to begin with a claim. In her questioning of her life by herself and what she will become without him, she's feeling a sense of freedom and confinement at the same time. Okay, so this is so we need to begin with a claim that's claim, a concise statement of the basic idea of the paragraph. What follows in the claim is just an explanation of what you're really going to be saying. So it needs to be a concise statement that you want to make that then you go about to prove. Claim. A concise statement about the basic idea of the paragraph. It's like reduce the paragraph down to one statement and then begin with that. Okay. Now, I'm trying to analyze the claim here, but we have in her questioning of her life by herself and what she'll become without him. She is feeling a sense of freedom and confinement at the same time. Okay. So when you have two things that seem to be contradict each other, but they don't, that's a paradox. All right. All right. So something like the resulting effect of Mr. Mallard's alleged death creates a paradox within Miss Mallard. With the conflicting feelings of freedom and confinement. There. All right, then we'll lead into our quotes. This is in one of our quotes. Okay, we don't need to have parentheses around her name for whatever reason. Okay, and then also she writes, "Hey, okay, so this quote is like super long, and I'm sure Sidney Prescott, who wrote this paper, is going to edit this down. All right, you need to only include the exact thing you're going to use in your paper that you're going to talk about. Okay, so like you need to if you're just going to talk about humiliation, then just include the state of humiliation. If you're going to talk about no longer ask God to admire her or approve her, then just pull that one thing out. This whole quote is way too long. You cannot use anything longer than 2 lines max. Okay, so if you look at it, let's see here. 1, 2, there's 2 lines written, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. 5.5 lines of non-quote. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 lines of quote. The 9 lines far outweighs the actual analysis. So that is too long. That needs to be reduced to like 1 line at the most. Okay. And then the analysis can happen. All right. Because remember, we want to have claim. We want to have support. Remember, support should only be 30% of your paper. And then we need to have analysis, which this analysis is only 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, when it should be 50%. Oops, yeah, 50%. So like if the total paragraph is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, almost 16 lines, then 8 lines alone should just be the analysis, even though it's not going to be that many lines because you're going to cut a bunch of these out. Okay. All right. So that's what needs to be done. We need to have introduction, a gradual walk into the conversation the writer will be having in the paper, general and non-story specific opening, a concise summary of the specific thing from the story that you'll be discussing, and then a thesis. And then body paragraphs, a claim, support, and analysis. Then and into the paragraphs. Then at the very end of the essay, after the conclusion and everything, you have a works cited page. Okay, so we're going to push down, and I have an example of works cited page right here. This is the way your works cited page should look. It works cited, and this document right here, this has the proper citations for the short stories. Okay, so this is available on eClass in the Essay 1 folder. Essay 1 and short stories. Scroll down to works cited, example, and citations. You can open up this document. Might be weird. And then copy and paste the things that you use. So this person's only talking about Kate Chopin's Serve an Hour. So she would copy, or you could copy all of it, go to your sample, go to your paper. And then just delete what you're not using. People are writing about 2 stories. Okay. Now, this is her outside resource. She needs to copy it. Okay. She needs to go back to lessons. Scroll down to EasyBib. Click on EasyBib. Cite a website. Put in the URL. Search. It's going to pop up. Oh, there it is. Cite. Continue. Complete citation. And then it's going to pop up down here in a moment. Right here. These are all the ones I did, but here's the citation that the proper way to cite that document. We're gonna click on it. We're gonna copy it, bring it back to our paper. And then we're going to put it here. Okay. Now, listen, I am going to say this. Oh, and if this is really a real citation, you would need to then make sure it's double spaced. Okay. Now, this is not something that you would actually cite though in a paper. Okay. You would need to find a better resource than free essay examples. Okay. We can't pull we can't use someone else's essay as a resource. Okay. So you would need to do for feminism in the story of an hour, you would actually need to go to the online library, which is in Blackboard. Let's see. I have access to through my apps. My apps. The same way that I showed you for the library research, you would want to go to library and go through Galileo and do feminism in story of an hour. Okay. Sydney, don't cite this as a source because it's incorrect. Okay. You can't use an essay for your source. You got to find a reliable source. Okay. But once you do, though, you get the web address and you put it in easybib.com and you create a citation for it. And then you copy and paste it like I did here. Okay. And the final page of your essay should be a works cited page. There's too much space between these. Let's look. 0, 0. And then you list your sources that you use. And if you used 3, you talked about the Adulterous Woman and Story of an Hour, then you would want to copy both of those over and put them in the essay if you did. Okay. So I provide those for you. You just now need to make sure that you put them in correctly. Okay. All right. I hope this helped. I'm going to include this on the this sample in essay 1, so you can look at it. All right. I didn't edit this second body paragraph. I didn't really get to it, but I edited this one. I mean, this lecture is already 33 minutes long. So I hope you take into consideration things I've talked about with your introductions and your body paragraphs. Okay. Conclusions are just literally, they are the introduction backwards. Begin with your thesis, pull out some sort of concise summary, and then end it with a general non-story specific ending. Okay. All right. Like I said, I hope this was helpful. This was useful. I'm looking forward to reading your essays. All righty. Bye-bye.